Welcome grade 11s. This is your first online teaching lesson from the maths department, and for Wednesday the 18th of March we have decided to stop functions and start with finance, as finance is a more suitable topic when it comes to online teaching. Now when we do work with finance, no instruction has to be given to you. It always has to be 2 decimal places. But please remember, you are only allowed to round up in your final answer, nowhere in the middle of the sum. Always use all the decimals until your final answer. Now in grade 10, you were introduced to simple interest, and simple interest has a formula of A equals P times 1 plus IN. Now after that, you were also shown that for HP agreements, for hire purchase agreements, you will use the exact same formula. Compound interest has a formula of A is equal to P, 1 plus I to the power of N, and after you played with that formula a little bit, it was shown that this is also used for inflation and population growth as well. Now let's just quickly refer to the different variables and what they mean. A is the accumulated amount, so that's the amount after the period of the investment. P is your principal or your initial amount. I is your interest rate. Please remember this must be a decimal number. So if I give you 8%, it is 0,08. N represents your time period in years. So if I think I'm going to catch you out, I'm going to give you 18 months. 18 months must be converted to years. Now 18 months is a year and a half, but it's easier to use as a mixed fraction, so 3/2. After you've been asked to work out the accumulated amount, you may be asked what is the interest earned. How do I work out the interest earned? I say A minus P. Another section that was covered in grade 10 was foreign exchange. This exchange rate changes on a, I almost want to say, second base in the world, and with what's currently going on, the markets have dropped, so everyone's buying shares and exchanging money, and just pity we can't travel. So what we're going to do for today, Wednesday the 18th of March, is that I'm going to work through some examples with you now. And then after that examples, you will have to go to exercise 12.1. You will find it on page 328, and you will have to do 3, 5, 7, and 9. The memo for this exercise will be uploaded on Thursday morning, but I have basically copied the entire exercise for those that wants to do more than just 3, 5, 7, and 9. If we look at, where's my first example? There we go. If we look at a standard grade 10 question, they're going to tell you that Sam wants to invest 3,450 Rand, which is my initial amount. That's my P value. Over 5 years means that is N. So comparing two banks, the one bank, Wise Banks, works on simple interest, which is 12.5%. Remember to convert 12.5% to a decimal number. And Grand Bank offers a savings account paying compound interest, so use the compound formula at 10.4% per annum, which means 10.4% is 0,104. They want to see which bank will give them the biggest or greatest amount. Right, so if we work with Wise Bank, let's identify the values. I've got my P, I've converted my I from percentage to decimal, and I've got my N. I'm going to sub it into my calculator, and please do so and check whether you get the same answer. I'm going to do a second calculation for Grand Bank. Same thing, identify P, identify I, convert it to a decimal, use N, substitute the values, work out with using your calculator. The question is, which bank will give me the best amount or the best outcomes, and that is the last one, which is Grand Bank. Okay, not that difficult. Keep in mind, this is a grade 10 revision question. Then we moved on and we can start playing with words. So if I look at this, Bongani decides to put 30,000 Rand. That's my investment amount. That's my P value. Compound interest, what is it? I need to work it out. Making sure I use the right formula. I need an A value, I need a P value, I need an N value if I want to work out I. Then they're trying to trick you because they say what compound interest rate must be investment account achieve for Bongi to double his money. So they're not telling you the A value, but you can determine this, because if I started with 30,000, double his money is 60,000, and then 6 years is my N to one decimal place. Okay, so I've got A, I've got P, I've got N. I'm going to substitute those values, and then I'm on my mission to isolate I. So divide both sides by 30,000 Rand. So 60,000 divided by 30,000 is 2. Now the inverse power of 6 is this 6th root. So I will have to pull the 6th root over each side to get rid of the power of 6. Move 1 to the left hand side. So it's the 6th root of 2 minus 1. And I get a decimal value. Now just a heads up. Remember, I need to have enough decimal places so that I can work out my correct percentage with the correct amount of decimal places. I have to times by 100, and I need enough decimals to determine the correct answer. So, when rounded up, it's 12.2%. Okay, nice grade 10 question. Okay, moving on to a more favored topic, and that is hire purchase. Hire purchase, because we can add some fun factors to that. So when I do hire purchase is simple interest all the time. Now thinking about grade 10, whenever we did HP agreements, I had to have a cost price. I had a deposit. When I subtracted the deposit from the cost price, I ended up with the loan amount. And that loan amount is my P value. Okay, so if I look at the question, Troy wants to buy additional screen for his computer, which he saw advertised for 2,500 Rand on the internet. There is an option of paying 10% deposit and then making 24 monthly payments using a hire purchase agreement where interest is calculated at 7.5% simple interest. Calculate what Troy's monthly repayments will be. So first of all, a new deposit with, 10% deposit. So 10% of 2,500 is 250 Rand. That means take the cost price minus the deposit, I get my P. 7.5% is 0.075, this decimal. 24 months is 2 years. Substitute that into your simple interest formula. Let your calculator do the work. So he will pay 2,587 and 57 cents. but that is not the monthly repayments. So what will he be paying on a monthly basis? So divide your A value by 24, and that is R107.81. Okay, now what I can do differently to this question is I can ask you, what is the total payment or repayment that was made? So if I ask for the total payment, it will be your deposit and your A value. Total payment for this screen will be your deposit and your A. So your deposit was 250 and your A value is 2587,50. Right. So what are we going to do in grade 11? Okay, we are going to give you extra conditions. So if we quickly read through this question, it says he wants to buy a TV and it's hire purchase. So 5,500 is my cost price. 54 months at an interest rate of 21%. And here comes the grade 11 work in here now. Insurance premium of R12.50 is added to every monthly payment. How much will it cost? So that's my P value, that's my N, but I will have to take 54 and divide it by 12, okay, and that means I have 4.5 years. Substitute it into my formula and let my calculator do the work. So my A value works out to be 10,697.50. Monthly, there is 54 months divided by 54. I get 198,10. And then the final amount, I need to add my insurance to this. So 198 Rand and 10 cents plus 12 Rand 50 is 210 Rand and 60 cents. Okay. Let's look at another example. So Richard is planning to buy a new stove on hire purchase. The cash price is 6,420, 10% deposit, and he wants to pay the rest of his 36 months at 8%. Here's the nice addition. An insurance premium of 11 Rand 20 needs to be added. That's my P value. I'm lying, that's my cost price. That's my deposit. So the cost price 6,420 minus the deposit, which is 642, will leave me with my P value, which is 5,778. 8% per annum is 0.08, and then 36 months is 3 years. Substitute that into your simple interest formula, punch it into a calculator. That's your A value. That's your A value. What is my monthly? Take my A value divided by 36. Get my monthly repayment, but I have to add my insurance premium to that, which is at 11 Rand 20. So my final value there is 210 Rand and 22 cents. Okay. So some inflation questions. Now remember, inflation is compound interest. Okay, so compound interest. So we can go into the future. What will something cost in 10 years' time? Or I can ask you to work back into history. What did your parents pay for a loaf of bread 10 years ago, for instance? So here is 2 examples for you. Milk costs 14 Rand for 2 liters. How much will it cost in 4 years? So we're going into future. So if we're going into the future, that is my starting value. This is my N. That's my interest rate. Using compound interest, slot in the values. So in 4 years' time, I will pay 19 Rand and 76 cents for 2 liters of milk. Now the flip side of that is when I go into the past. So what will something cost, or what did something cost? Okay, so let's say a box of chocolates costs 55 Rand today. How much did it cost 3 years ago? Now, if it's 3 years ago, it means this is my final amount. And then it was an average inflation of 11%. Okay, so once again, compound. I have to work out the value of P, substitute in my values. So divide each side with 1 plus 0,11 to the power of 3 in your calculator and get an answer of 40,422. So 3 years ago, you would have paid 40 Rand and 22 cents for it. Okay. If we look at a grade 10 population growth question, population growth has to do with human, like animals and people living in a town, and the most favorite one is this amount of people have AIDS and how many will have it. So next year I can guarantee you'll have a question about coronavirus. So many people had it, and it grew at certain percentage, and how many had it 10 years later, or something will have it 10 years later, or something like that. Right, so population, whenever you have population, it means I am working with compound interest. So I start with 3,888,180, and the average rate of population growth is 2.1%. That's my I, and in 10 years, that's my N. Simple substitution. Use your calculator. So in 10 years' time, there'll be almost 5 million people. Okay. And the last example that I have for you based on grade 10 finance is the foreign exchange rate. So as I said, excuse me, this is changing on a daily basis. So she has 10,000 Rand. She wants to convert it to euros, and currently 1 euro was trading at 10 Rand 68. So if I have 10,000 divided by the currency I want it to be, so she will have 936,33 euros. Now, please remember, your work is not done. You do need to go, and you do need to go do exercise 12.1, number 3, 5, 7, and 9.